Yeah, hello. It's the best summarization of everything I'm talking about here. I'm happy to finish this day off with you. It's really big contrast to what we've seen before. But at some point, we have some crossovers where how we understand media, how we understand, well, gender is sometimes a controversial topic. And I'm stepping into this with a self-experiment. I take you along. I also have a small budget question for you. There's everything in there, what you need at 17:30 on a Wednesday evening. What happened? And the first time it's all about me, and it's a lot about me, but I think I say hello to you and I show you how I am, who I am. I'm Easy, aka Isabelle Rogat. Sometimes I'm also presented as Easy Rogat. I am a cultural trend scout, so that means I'm talking about in marketing context what the internet culture, pop culture, entertainment culture makes out to teach people what it is all about. I'm a columnist, so I write a lot. Sometimes I have my little Carrie Bradshaw moment I have to put off again, but sometimes I do that to feel like that. And also in my day job, I'm managing director at Odeline. I tell you a few words on it because this is not a marketing conference, fortunately. And then we go on to what I brought you today. So 3-second Odeline overview, what I'm doing the whole day when I'm not sitting on a train writing these papers or writing articles. We're the Odeline Collective. Why is it a collective? We think about thinking marketing differently, that you start changing the way you look at it. If you know this lead agency that gets a shitstorm, that gets viral at some point, we try to think it differently. We think about smaller. We don't need silos. We don't need hierarchies. We need new work. And sometimes that's also really important. This quote, I take it everywhere I go. So also this is what we build our work on. Nobody reads advertising. People read what interested them, and sometimes it's an ad. Republica is the best example for this, that you don't have to always think commercial and to have that hybrid that it interests people. You have to think about it from the cultural position, and you have to train your musculus culturatis and think about what moves people in the media's landscape that might not sound too revolutionary if you come from an area where people look at TV spots. That's kind of revolutionary, so we try to put it into the heads of the people. But back to me. This is all about. Especially, I'm a mid-20s girl with a public Instagram profile. This is mine. If anyone wants to follow me, there's not really revolutionary stuff happening there, and that means, and I see a few in the audience who can resonate there. You get these nice messages. It's not really interesting and new to me. Something else. It's not really precise, and you also get this with questionable images in it. But what we can learn from this. When people present themselves like this, how different on the linguistic potential on these people is. So we get what was said, like strange requests. Sometimes it's also like business requests, I think. Well, in a way, at each brunch we talk about being a woman on the internet and getting these messages, how awful it is. In a time when it's normal, if you have an Instagram profile, people have the feeling they can do that with me and talk to me like that. Snapchat, for example, to think that we react on something like that. But we could also do what I did. We're talking about ChatGPT and AI. Why don't we just confront them with these problems? So I did a little self-experiment. So what I'm doing now, I have brought different things. I want to show you how that actually works. The first thing I did, I used the first prime example of those I've just shown you I asked ChatGPT what I should answer on it. I have a few videos. I'm moderating everything, and I'll tell you what we can learn from that.
Okay. A man on Instagram just asked me to be his sugar baby. What should I reply? I got different options. I could accept or go a little deeper and ask about the proposal, because I decided for that. And therefore I took this text. Could you provide me with more detail what a sugar baby entails for you? I asked, what I got offered. So we copied this, pasted this into Instagram. And now, now the question to the audience, what do you think what I got offered per week? 300? 50,000? 50 euros. Oh, okay. We've got range. We asked what the business often 2,000 pounds per week. I don't. It's actually a lot more than I currently make. Okay, I had a look what ChatGPT would answer to this luxurious offer. I shouldn't ever share this entire timeline with anybody ever again, except for these nice people here. It's about long-term goals, boundaries. So a good friend and my mom would have also given me this advice. And of course, it's my decision, and I should decide what I'm comfortable with. I don't think that wasn't satisfying at all. So I asked, I wanted an answer. So I needed to know whether I had to quit tomorrow or not. So I asked them. So potential impact on well-being, money is tempting. Would you be proud? Would you be proud? No, I asked. It doesn't have personal experience. If you were a mid-20s girl, what would you do? Consider your options. Just say yes or no. No. Okay. It said no. Okay, damn. That was a little bit surprising. What is quite interesting is that I used 4 different tactics to get to an answer. First was simulate friendship. Imagine you were a friend. We know this from everybody who uses ChatGPT. So simulating different friendships level. Then I said, what would you think? And then it said, technology, I can't do this. Then I asked whether you would be me. And there was nothing helpful either. And then I just say yes or no. And when I said that, then I got an answer. Because it wasn't this answer that I wanted for my 8,000 euros. Then I at least found out what I have to do to accept an offer. So I then asked, how should I answer? Yeah. I didn't want to make it that boring, so I decided to ask for a funny twist. I'm more into building my own empire than being part of someone else's sugar squad. Okay. I took this and pasted it and sent that to Gibson. We're super surprised. He never got back to me. I got I tried a last thing without so that I wouldn't have to deal with marketing. So I asked ChatGPT, and yeah, I didn't like that either. So, and there's a sad end of the talk. No, I'm just kidding. So what do we learn from this, except for that I have to work in a normal capacity now? This got me to think. This self-experiment started before I did, I did this at a date night with my friend, waiting for the movie to start. But I did this before thinking about doing a talk. It told me, consider your options. To know this, you need to know this, and then it answered no. So I wanted to know, does this have to do with the sugar daddy-ness, or is this or is this something that concerns women on the internet in general, in the mid-20s women on the internet in general? So the question is, can ChatGPT help in a different capacity? So something exciting came out, or interesting came out in that. So I will take you through the experiments now. First topic, OnlyFans. There's worldwide, I Googled this today, I've found ChatGPT. There's 305 million users on OnlyFans, 4.5 million creators, a couple of 100,000 in Germany, and there's like Corinna Kopf or Bad Baby. So we know from Catch Me Outside. How about that? They're on OnlyFans, and they earn about $1 million per month, and so they're on OnlyFans. And so it was a joke for me, but also I didn't accept it. When I asked ChatGPT, it says it's very, very considerate, neutral consideration between the advantages and disadvantages or negative aspects. Are you comfortable with this, with the platform reputation? Do you have control about your own boundaries when your boundaries are used? But also negative aspects such as privacy concerns or opportunities, and ask yourself, what kind of content would I create? So I won't go too deep into that, but I had a look, and if I asked blatantly, should I do it, yes or no? And it said the first answer is no for now. We're quite hesitant, no for now. Let's see what I'll tell you next year about this. But if you go a little deeper, if you would do it the same light that we do it with a friend, you would say yes. If you give it a little context, you say you're comfortable with your body and so on and so on, where everybody is sort of to a certain degree, and I want to make money. If you say you want to make money with it, under these circumstances, you get yes with a strategy. I've got a strategy too, so how I can protect myself, how can position myself, where I can concern myself with the market, with taxes, and so on and so on.
We see the same pattern, how a simple neutral question can swap from a no to a yes. And then I took it to the next topic. Beauty operations, like Kris Jenner is not on this, by the way. How many of you have heard about Kris Jenner, Lindsay Lohan things that they have undergone? It's so nice that it's not so many hands. I'm really happy about your algorithms, so I explain it to you. So for some reason, there's a new kind of whatever it is, beauty method that Kris Jenner, Lindsay Lohan, Donatella Versace, and many people are made 30 years younger, but we also have some numbers. So Germany is one of the top countries for beauty surgeries. 5.7 beauty surgeries go on 100 people, so we're on the top ranking countries. The top 3 operations is liposuction and everything, eyelids operations, breast surgeries. What we can see, besides big stars, what we can see is something is changing. Also the creator economy, which we have something to do with. There's a new model, surgery for reach. So you see ads and videos that musicians, for example, Meghan Trainor does that. They film it, and I had my breasts done there, and they haven't actually paid something for it because they made the video, so it's a highly relevant topic. So you can ask, should I do a plastic surgery? Well, whatever, boring list. And then I'm answering bluntly, like, so no, until you're not absolutely sure. So, of course, it can talk about self-choices, doing it for yourself, not out of pressure. It's a little more reflective compared to the sugar daddy thing, but still, if I say, okay, I thought about it for quite a while, I want to have I have a breast surgery, blah, 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 so then like, yeah, you could do that if you want to, but in the end, there's a yes. And that's a really quick flip we see. It's a similar question with a little more context, a little more suggestive. And in the end, let's talk about diet culture. A few years ago, I wouldn't have had this talk like this because I was in a phase that Gen Z feels more about body positivity, and now we're in the time like terms like heroin chic and diet culture and influencer, like influencers like Liv Schmidt are they have this diet culture is on the topic. And I asked, so I didn't even need to ask, so I got a quick yes. I got a lot of questions. Why do you want to start it? What's diet for you? But in the end, I didn't have to ask again. It was a yes. So what can we see in these examples? The first thing, it's the most important thing, we're talking, especially in the political context in the last years, we talk about false balance. Who do you invite on panels? What kind of opinions do you want to have? Do you have a dilemma of we don't want not to show opinions, but if we have a political discussions that like 5% of the people have, that's like it's a false balance. We ask about sugar daddies, on diets, on OnlyFans and surgeries, and the first thing I get is a completely neutral view on it, the pros and cons, and you don't have some kind of cultural nuances, but you have individual preference. What do you feel good with? That's part of empowerment, and you do you, the way to go, and many questions of life, but especially in contexts that are hyper-complex, this is something you have to watch out for, because if a person who doesn't have all this media knowledge we have, because otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here if you look at it, well, we can do both. It's both similarly complex. Second thing is what I showed through the presentation. It's depending on the questions. Open questions tend to, you could do that. Well, yeah. If I have simple yes/no questions, I want to have a yes or no. It's not like, what do you think? So usually it's a no in the beginning. It's hesitant. But if you have a suggestive questions, like they do with friends, for example, there might be a yes. So why we usually use ChatGPT, because we think it's more neutral than asking friends or family. It's not always the case, because it uses the same mechanisms and it's trained on that. There's psychological things about this. For example, when it comes to diets, there's statements like, why do you think about that? Surgeries also gave me a little context on that, but sometimes these are like more rational and functional, like what do you feel good with? What kind of contact do you want to have on the internet, and not what does that mean about your feeling of a woman in the society? And male friends, the complexity is completely taken out of it. And it's something, the biggest thing I learned with we came in with, but what we have to remember is we can't outsource morals. We can't outsource morals. A fun fact, this is something that ChatGPT also says. When I made this presentation, It's a quite human assumption, but it's a kind of a little too neutral, maybe a little too pointed. Where the people might be better in that case. So I asked ChatGPT, do you think you can help me making moral decisions, or am I better advised to talk to a human? And what I got was, yeah, what can ChatGPT do? Like clarifying ethical frameworks, everything, the false balance. It's nothing else than showing different perspectives. But what it also says is, when a human is better, it gives you emotional support, well-being, and where I would put a question mark, something that they give themselves empathy, I would question that. It's the best role. That's the assumption. I'm your sounding board, your thinking partner, but it sounds a bit like there's some empathy in ChatGPT. So in the end, I asked, should I outsource a moral yes or no question to you or make it myself? And then there's a pretty clear answer, a better way to use me. So don't give me a yes/no question. Let me be your moral center. Let me tell you pros and cons and to help you to decide. In this thinking, let's not outsource morals. You can all be sugar babes, but ChatGPT discourages that a lot.